Good evening. Welcome to On Another Little Book Club's Author Babble, where we getting up close and personal with author D.L. White, author of The Never List. Welcome, Miss White, and thank you for joining us on this evening.
Thank you for having me.
So, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I live here in Atlanta, go Georgia. I've lived in Atlanta since '03. I'm not a native, but I've been here long enough to say I'm from here. Um, uh, I work for a beverage giant. Y'all know which one that is here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Absolutely love it. In my free time, I get to make up stories and publish them for people to read. I'm the oldest of three. My family
Okay.
lives way across the country in Spokane, Washington, near Idaho.
Oh,
So
wow.
I do have some extended family here. So I came down in '03 and said, hey, let's do something different. And here I am. I love to read. I love to write. I like brunch. I like coffee. I like chicken. Um, and I'm an introvert, so I really like being alone. So this whole pandemic thing is kind of a plus. So
I'm with you. I enjoyed it. I really did.
I'm not
I
mad
am
at it.
look, I am enjoying it.
I'm not mad at it. Yeah. I wish I could like go to the gym and like meet friends for brunch or whatever, but
Mhm.
I'm good. I'm real good. Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you on this evening. Love the shirt.
Thank you.
Very appropriate,
My
writer-ish.
writer friend, Portia Dune, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She
Okay.
made these shirts and I absolutely loved it when I saw it. So I ordered one and I try to, when it's time for me to write, I put this shirt on because I feel like I'm
Uh-huh.
when I wear it. And then I try to wear it when I have an interview so people know I'm a writer.
Okay. And you say Portia or June. Can you spell that last name for us?
Deun, Dune, I think.
D-E Dune. Okay. Great,
Yeah.
great, great. Just in case anyone's interested in supporting.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are excited to have you here on today. Today we're here to discuss um, your novel, The Never List.
Yes.
So tell us, give us um, a little bit about the book. Don't give away too much, but tell us what is the Never List. Very interesting name. What is it about?
So the Never List is about Esme Whitaker. She is 39 years old, super accomplished, went and got her master's degree. She's winning everywhere in life. She's had a glow up recently and she just has this one thing, this one big thing that she has never done. Um, Among
Okay.
other some little things like, she's kind of she's also an introvert and there's a
Okay.
lot of things she's never done because she just is afraid of them or just never had the chance to like ride a roller coaster or
Okay.
play a team sport or have sex, for instance. And so she's just kind of at a point in her life. Her 40th birthday is coming up, and she's like, it's kind of ridiculous. And so I'm going to just make a list things I need to do before my 40th birthday. And on
Okay.
that list is have sex. And so she's got 10 things she needs to accomplish. And she ends up in a situation where she meets a guy. It is not a good situation, but
Okay.
he ends up coming back around to him.
Mm-hmm.
He needs her, she needs him. They're like, hey, I'll help you if you help me. And he ends up helping her cross off the items on her.
Okay.
And so she's initially not interested in letting him cross off the big ones, but it's a romance. And so guess what happens?
Okay.
He ends up helping him cross off those items. And
Okay.
the fun thing is that it's a work situation that they're in, and so in order
uh,
to avoid impropriety, they really can't sleep together, but they do deeply feel for each other. So for me, it was just trying to get around that situation and
mhm.
make it a romance and make it sensual and make it sexy and keep the reader interested, even though up to a certain point they really can't get intimate. So that was kind of the challenge for me and the fun part for me, but that's pretty much what the Never List is about. It's about
Okay.
things she has to cross off before she turns 40.
I like that. I love the name, the never list, compared to what most people refer to as the bucket list. Love
Yeah,
it. I
I
love
think
it.
someone had said something to me about a bucket list one time, and I was like, "That's so morbid.
Right.
Want to do before you die? Like
Mhm.
that's your focus." And
Like you
so,
kick in a bucket, you know?
right, like, yeah. So I thought maybe let's just call it a never list. So 10 things I've never done, and
I like
so
that.
yeah, it was
Okay,
fun.
so typically I ask these questions of authors. Even though I'm kind of like, I feel a bit uncomfortable asking you this, but I'm gonna ask you: is this book based on your actual life?
A little bit, a little
Okay,
bit.
okay, okay, okay.
It was definitely. It's not just my story, but
Hmm.
stories of women that I have known that waited a long time for that
And
man.
women I know too. Hmm.
Right. And there are women that are over 40, over
Hmm.
50. I was over 40 by choice.
Right.
I think in the book I had a lot of fun exploring the reasons why a woman would wait that
Hmm.
long. I think for some, for me, I grew up religious, and the message to us was good girls don't. And
Exactly.
I think it took me a long time to really grow out of that. But
Hmm.
by the time I grew out of it, I was like, you know what? It doesn't seem all that
Right.
um, like I was listening to people talk about it, and they just like it just didn't seem like an experience that I wanted to jump into.
Right.
It something to me. I wanted it to mean something to him. And so for me, I just wanted to wait until it meant something to both of us. And it just happened to be at that time. And I wanted it to be a time for Esme. I didn't want it to be where she was afraid of men or she was afraid of sex. I wanted it to be that she waited because she wanted it to mean something. And she
Right.
wanted to have that experience with somebody that would make sure she got what she needed.
Hmm.
Because when I was in that situation, I met a lot of men that did not care.
Oh
It
no.
didn't matter to them at all. And so,
Just another check off.
no, no. So, like, no, no. If I'm gonna wait this long,
It needs
um,
to be fireworks and
chain.
everything.
Right. It needs to be off the chain. And for him to really only be concerned about his pleasure and his experience, I waited until it meant something to both of us. And so that's the experience that I wanted to bring to this book. I started writing this book years ago, and I hit a wall and I put it away. And it's
Hmm.
been so long since I started this book that I do not remember why I started writing this book.
Hmm.
But I do know that that was my situation, and maybe I just wanted to represent that part of the culture, which I think isn't as small as people think it is, of women that didn't want to rush into that, and
That's
that
true.
she was a late bloomer on purpose, and this was something that she purposely made this choice to take this step and wanted to choose the man that would take that step with her.
Right. I totally understand where you're coming from. And while we're on this subject, let's talk about um, reasons that women wait.
Mhm.
And one in particular is, as you stated, just as you, I grew up in a very, well, let me just say this. My household was not a spiritual household, but at a young age, I was introduced to the church. So I went on that journey.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So just because of your background and that playing a role in your waiting, in which, you know what, at one point I was upset with the the reason why, but now I appreciate it.
Right.
I appreciate it, even though I don't think it was the right reason to wait. So
Mhm.
let me ask you a question. Did you have a problem with this voice, or I don't want to say your conscience, because I've just been raised and it's been beaten in your head that you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't. Was that a voice in the back of your head? Was that something always there, um, preventing you from going further or just moving forward in when it comes to intimate relationships?
I don't. I definitely when I was much younger, my
Hmm.
dad's a preacher and my mother is an evangelist.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we were going to hear it from the pulpit every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Right.
And so while I was steady in the church, yes, the girls were definitely hearing that. The boys, not so much.
Yeah.
but the girls
Mm-hmm.
are definitely hearing that. But when I was in my 20s, I went through a time where I had to define my spirituality for myself. I had to figure out what's religion and what's propriety, and are people telling me this because of how society might perceive me, or is it for my own good? So
Right.
it's just a lot of wrestling. I was
Mm-hmm.
also actually just a very late bloomer. It took me a
Right.
long time to mature
Mm-hmm.
and to understand really what that was. I was also I was overweight, and it took me a long time to grow up,
Right.
and I was probably almost 30 before I really felt like I was ready for that step. But when I decided that I wasn't going to wait until marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that guilt or that voice on my shoulder telling me, you really need to wait. Good
Right.
girls wait. Good
Mm-hmm.
sex is for marriage, because I hadn't heard that in so long.
Mm-hmm.
I had been
Mm-hmm.
out of marriage for so long. Um, so I think maybe once you separate yourself from the people that are telling you
Right.
that, you hear that voice less and less. Uh,
Exactly.
and it wasn't like I was just gonna like just run out and have sex with everybody once I decided I wasn't going to wait until marriage. But
Mm-hmm.
longer the longer you say no, the easier it is to say no. And so for me, it just became like, I'm gonna need you to work harder if you
Right.
if you want this. And I just
Love
wasn't
it.
dating men that wanted to work that hard. And so I was like, yeah, no, it's not worth it. It's just, from what I hear, is
Mm-hmm.
37 seconds of what was that?
Right.
It's not worth it. It's not worth
Mm-hmm.
it to me. And so it just became easier to keep saying no until I met someone that was like, oh, yeah, okay, let's get to know each other. Let's take our time. And I was like, really? Really? Okay. And then I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I really think maybe it's just a thing that maybe you just know deep down, inside yourself, when it's the right time, and not
Right.
letting people tell you that it's not the right time. You have to know that. You have to know that within yourself. Yeah.
Well, I love the message in the book. I really do. I think it's great because, our young women are influenced by so much now. They have access to so much on social media, through music, and so many novels they pick up, they glorify
Yeah.
just going with your emotions, just going with your feelings. And to pick up a novel that actually steers them in a way where you wait until you're ready to experience, it's awesome. So what
Yeah.
type of response when it comes to your reviews have you received for the book?
I'll tell you, I was nervous about this book. I picked it up and put it down, and picked it up and put it down. And I remember being in DMs with one of my author friends and saying, ain't nobody gonna want this book because she's a virgin. And like the reviews that I read about like books about virgins are mostly like Regency, and or it's like a hot co-ed, um, you know meeting the captain of the football team, whatever. It's all like, you know, young people, and people are really uncomfortable with the idea of a virgin in a romance novel. And so I figured that nobody would want to read this book. And I said, I'm going to write this book. This book is going to be for me. And if nobody else likes this book, I'm going to like this book. And she's like, you go, girl. But let me tell you, people are going to read this book. And I have been so floored and so surprised by the reaction
Mhm.
to the book, to Esme, to Trey. And I want to stress that there is not a single thing wrong with being 23 and going for yours. If that
Right.
is who you want to be,
Hmm.
if that's what you want and that's right for you, there's not a thing wrong with that. And Esme is in no way chaste and innocent. I think one thing she says is, it's not like I never met a man that made my body thump. Trevante Rhodes walked the earth. And she's like, I meet a lot of men that I wouldn't mind sleeping with, but she wanted to make it worth her time. And so
Hmm.
I think the message then is waiting until it's right. And I wanted to make sure that people know when you pick up this book, you're going to read about a woman that waited, but it's not going to be like a just like a squicky. I'm giving myself to a man, and
Right.
giving him this gift, and I think that that's what squicks people out about a virgin romance.
Right.
So I was a little bit nervous about making sure that I bring that point across. It's a very modern romance novel. Esme is very modern. She's very grown. She's very sexual. That was just a thing that she had never done. So yes, I've
Okay.
been very, very pleased with the response. It's gotten extremely good reviews, and I'm incredibly grateful. Incredibly grateful.
And it's interesting because one of the questions we typically ask our authors on here is what is some advice you would give to future authors? And a lot of them say, tell your story. You may not feel no one is interested in your story, but there's always someone out there
There's always
that
somebody out there.
exactly,
Yeah, you
exactly.
can't please everybody, but there are people that want to read your books. There are people that want to hear that story. And
Hmm.
boy, if this book don't tell you that, none of them will. Somebody wants to read your story, so write it. Yeah.
So you said you started the book, you put it down. How long in general, how long did it take you to finish the book in its entirety?
So I had written about maybe 8 chapters in
Hmm.
like 2017, 2018. Quickly hit a wall because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it and put it away. Once I dug it back out, I think I dug it back out this spring, so April, May-ish, and then
Okay.
I finished it in August. So not long compared to how long it sat.
Hmm.
Um, but, maybe 3 months or so of just of like concentrated writing to finish it. And really, if it wasn't for this pandemic,
You
I
probably
don't
wouldn't have
think
picked
that
it
I
up.
would have finished it because I had time. So
See,
yes, yes.
that's good. See what came out of this pandemic, right?
Right. Right. I've been busy. I have been busy because I was like, you know what? I have time. I got
So,
nothing, time,
is
space,
this your?
possibility. Let's do it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is this your first book, or do you have other
No, the
material?
Never List is book 10. I have 7 books that are out in like ebook and paperback.
Okay.
Um, and then I have 3 that are shorts, so they're really too short to be out in paperback. So
Hmm.
Neverless was book 10, and my goal was always to have 10 books out in print, and so this was definitely such a celebration once that book came out. But my debut,
Congratulations.
thank you. My debut is called Brunch at Ruby's.
Okay.
It's like women's fiction, chick lit. It does have love stories in it, though I don't call it a romance. It has
Okay.
romances in it, but it's mostly it's upmarket women's fiction is what they call it. I just changed the cover to this. This is the old cover, and then Dinner at Sam's. I just changed the cover to this. Is
Okay.
follow up to Brunch at Ruby's. Um, it's not like not a true sequel, but it does have characters from Brunch at Ruby's in it, and this is a romance.
Okay.
Um, and then I
So
have
real quick, I see brunch and dinner.
yes.
Talk to me.
So
Is this?
well, there's a third coming called Drinks at Minx. I haven't written it yet.
I love
If
it.
this
Okay.
goes another year, I have time. So
Hmm.
I do have more books coming in the Rubies series. I have promised them. It's just new characters are like, hey, I got something to say, and so new characters are really tempting to me, and so I just be writing. I just write what the voices tell me to write down. So
Okay. So when did you decide you wanted to become an author? Is this something you've always wanted to do, or where did this come from? Where did it stem from?
I've always been a writer. Like
Mhm.
since I was a kid, it was something I did to pass the time. Like I said, I'm an introvert. I love to be in my room with my books and a notepad and a pen. I got 64 notepads like right here. So, but I don't think that I ever planned on being an author until I saw other people doing it. And I was,
Hmm.
I was writing, stories and reading a lot, and I was writing novel length fan fiction. I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest with you. I was writing fan fiction, and people were like, "You need to write books," and I was like, don't nobody want to read what I'm writing. I don't. No, don't nobody want to read me. I don't even see black books out there. There's Eric Jerome Dickey, and there's Terry McMillan, and like Maya Angelou, and you know, but don't nobody want to read what I'm writing out here. And I think I was on NetGalley, which is a site where you can read pre-published books for free if
Okay.
you offer to write a review about it. So like
Okay. Uh-huh.
pre-publication was for a book, and I was like, yes, that's right up my alley because I eat books alive. I'm on book like 209 of the year. Like I
Oh
said,
wow. Okay.
I read a lot, and so I was like, yes, I want books before they're published, so I can brag that I have already read them.
Uh-huh.
And so I was on NetGalley, and I happened to stumble upon Harlequin Kimani, and there are these books written by black authors with black characters on the cover, which I grew up in Spokane, Washington, Whitey McWhiteyville. We do not have books in our bookstores with black people on the cover.
Mm,
I don't know if y'all ever been to a white town. If you go to Walmart in a white town, like maybe they're like on the bottom shelf, but you don't see books with black people on the covers. And so
right.
I was floored, and I thought, they out here publishing books with black people on the cover. Uh, I might want to get on it. And so I already had the idea for Brunch at Ruby's, which is based on a brunch group that I'm in, and we just celebrated our
Okay.
10-year anniversary. And so already had the idea, and so I started writing. It took me 4 years to write that book, and then I started trying to query for an agent, and that didn't really work out. And then I was listening to a podcast, and I heard an author talk about how she was publishing herself, and I was like, they out here publishing themselves. I need to get on it. And
Love
so
it.
I self-published Brunch at Ruby's in 2015. And that was all she wrote. And I ain't been able to shut up since.
Very good. Impressive.
Thank you.
So throughout your journey, what have been the most difficult um, in trying to get a book written and published? What have been the most difficult part of the process?
Oh, man. I tell you. Like most of my longer novels took me over a year to write.
Mm-hmm.
And most of that is because I have a lot of friends that write fast. I have an idea. 55,000 words, boom, published.
Mm-hmm.
3 months later, I have another book out, boom, published. And I'm over here at like 8,000 words after 3 months because my process is different. I got to
Mm-hmm.
think on it. Like I'll get the idea, then I write it down, and then I might put together my characters,
Mm-hmm.
setting, and it takes time. And so I would start a book and
Mm-hmm.
get chapters in and hit a wall because I haven't thought about it long enough yet. It hasn't marinated long enough yet. And then I would decide, well, this book isn't going to work, and I would throw it away. And then a year later, I'd be like, you know what that story needs? And then I would dig it out of the trash
Uh-huh.
and like go back and cut this,
Wow.
piece together that, and stitch that together here, and then write that book. And I think for me, it was learning how to trust my process,
Mm-hmm.
learning that I write how I write because of who I am as a person. I'm
Right.
not that author that can sit down and shoot out a book every 3 months. That's not me. Like
Mm-hmm.
once I have thought about it for 9 months to a year, I can write a book in 3 months, but not today I have the idea and tomorrow I start writing. I'm not that writer. So I think once you figure out who you are as a person, it informs how you write. If you are the type of person where if you get an idea for, I don't know, I want to redo my bedroom, if you need to think about that for 3 months before you redo your bedroom, what makes you think you can sit down and write a book and it be all laid out for you like all at once? Like when you're going to redo your bedroom, don't you have to think like from the comforter up, from the
Right.
carpet down, the curtains, the pictures? You got to put it together in your mind. And I've always been the type of person where I need to think about things first, and I need to piece it together in my mind and gather all my details together. And when it starts to write itself in my brain and the people won't shut up, and it's starting to wake me up in the middle of the night with ideas. She could do this and he could do that. Ooh, and then after this could happen, and then that, and boom, there's your end. That's when it's time for me to start writing. So um, know yourself and know your process and be okay with that. If it takes you 6 months to write a book, it takes you 6 months to write a book. If it takes you a year to write a book, it takes you a year to write a book. My mother is in the chat. Hi, Mama.
Oh, hi, Mom.
If that's how long it takes you to write a book, that's how long it takes you to write a book. And so you kind of have to be okay with that. Otherwise, you're just going to fight with yourself the whole time.
Right.
And then that draws out the process. The reason it took me a year and a half or 4 years to write Brunch at Ruby's is because I wasn't ready to write that book when I started writing it. And I needed to think about it and put the story together and write the synopsis 112 times before I really had the whole story together. And even then, I quit halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
I had to dig it out of the garbage and start over. And so, it takes however long it takes. It's done when it's done. And so that is just how it has to go. If you can make yourself write a book in 3 months, that's what kind of writer you are. If it takes
Right.
a year and a half, that's what kind of writer you are. And you cannot force yourself to be different. I mean, you can, but not easily. It's something
Right.
you gotta work your way out of that.
Right. And that's good to know yourself and know your process and trust it, and that goes back to the, what is it? Quality over quantity. You can
Yes.
pump out books every
Yes.
3 months, but what type
Yes.
of reviews are you getting?
But I know writers that can pump out a book every 3 months and they are good. And those are the writers that make me intimidated. I'm intimidated by that. And that's when I sit down and I'm like, okay, you gotta get it together. You can do this. Sit down and write this book. But I am not that writer. And if I wrote a book that fast, it would be trash.
Hmm.
Pure trash. So I do know writers that can write that fast and release that fast, and those books are excellent. But I also know writers that take 8 months, 9 months, 11 months to write a book. And so, again, you have to know yourself.
Hmm.
If you can write a book in 3 months and it's fire, that's the kind of writer you are, and be okay with that. And don't listen to people that are like, those books got to be trash. She's writing them too fast. That's the kind of writer you are. And
Right.
so, yeah, but it's definitely quality over quantity with me.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
done when it's done, and it's not done until I love it. And I
Right.
don't love it until I have thought through every chapter, every nuance. I've closed every loophole. I've crossed every T. I've dotted every I. Um, when I love it, then it goes to the editor and the betas so that they love it, so they can make it perfect for public consumption. So, yeah.
Okay, so looking back over your work of arts, all your 10 books, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you this. I know they are all your babies.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is Brunch at Ruby's.
Okay, Brunch
This
at
is,
Ruby's.
yeah, this is the book of my heart. I tell people all the time, this is the book of my heart. This is the book. If you could only read one of my books, I would want you to read Ruby's. Not only because it's my debut, but I feel like this is the story that I want to tell. It
Okay.
is sisterhood. It is resilience. Um, it is clawing your way up from underneath to victory.
Okay.
It's everything that every book after it I want to model it. I don't want to write the same story
Mm-hmm.
over and over again, but every book after it I want to write successful women. I want to write successful men. I want to write black men and black women
Mm-hmm.
that love
Mm-hmm.
each other, that can't get enough of each other. I want to write people that are doing it, doing the thing. And maybe it's not perfect every time. maybe they're not very nice people at the outset. There's a character in here that everybody hates, and I absolutely
Mhm.
love it. Maxine is a lot. She's shallow. She's got a sharp tongue. She's materialistic, but Maxine's probably my favorite character because it took so much to build her, and the work that I did to write this book makes it so that every book after it that I write it has to be better. It has to be as
I
good or
understand. I understand.
not saying this is a bad book because it's a really good book. It's a really
Okay.
good book. My favorite is my first one.
Okay. I'm gonna have to. That's what I'm about to start with. So right now, I'm going to ask you to tell our viewing audience how they can get in contact with you, and also where they can purchase your books.
You can reach me. You can always get to me on my website. It's booksbydlwhite.com. I have a contact form on there. Comes right to my email. I'm also on Twitter at author underscore DL White, Instagram at author underscore DL White, on Facebook at facebook.com/books by DL White. And you can always send him an email. It's authordl at booksbydlwhite.com. I'm everywhere. If you author DL White, Google me. I'm everywhere. It's real hard to not be able to find me. So
Okay, awesome. So at this time, we're going to peel the onion and go to another level and get to know you a little deeper. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some thought provoking questions.
okay,
All I ask is that you be honest.
okay.
Okay, let's see. First question. What's a belief that you hold which many people would probably disagree with?
A belief I hold that people would disagree with. Um, I'm not even sure how to answer that.
You can always pass it.
I have no idea, aside from the fact that Nutella is nasty and no one seems to know.
I agree, girl. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm
It
sorry.
tastes like spoiled chocolate. It's terrible.
A lot of people like it, but
Um,
I'm like, why? What do you see in this? Okay.
I have to think about that though. I don't have too many beliefs that are like out there. I think I probably agree with the general public on most of them, but Nutella is indeed nasty.
Mm. Okay, next question. Do you think crying is a sign of weakness or strength?
Strength.
Strength.
Strength. I think that it takes a lot to let yourself be vulnerable,
Hmm.
even if you're crying alone. Um, when you get to that point where you pull all the walls down and just let everything out, it's super easy to hold all that stuff in, and it takes a lot of work to peel all of that back and to pull those walls down and to just let yourself feel. And I am not a feeler, so I don't do vulnerability, and so
Hmm.
for me to get to that point where I can let go like that, I feel like it takes a lot of strength, and especially for you to cry in front of other people, for you to show that kind of openness and raw emotion in front of other people. I
Yeah.
think that's strength. That's strength. Specifically, if you're a person that cries because you're angry, because that's like the height of emotion right there.
Hmm.
If I cry because I'm mad, like you are seeing every emotion that I have laid out. Like it has ripped me to such shreds that I am actually crying. And so that is, I just feel like that's a lot to share with a person,
Yeah.
even if that person is yourself.
Okay. Okay. If you had the opportunity to get a message across to a large group of people, what would that message be?
Hmm. I don't want to say something hokey like believe in yourself, but I feel like specifically as women, we need to advocate for ourselves. We need to always trust our gut, trust our instinct. You know you. And so, specifically when you're up against someone that's trying to tell you who you're not, or people that try to gaslight you into thinking you're crazy, you don't know what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, you don't know what you're doing. Um, there's always a little voice inside you that tells you the real deal, that tells you the truth. Listen to that voice, because that voice is not likely to lead you astray. Um, so, again, nothing hokey, like believe in yourself, um, but believe in yourself, because
Okay.
you are the only you out there. There's
That's
only
right.
one of you, and nobody's gonna love you like you do. So, love yourself, and follow follow instinct, follow your gut. It's there for a reason.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing with us, Miss White. Now we're going to transition over to chopping it up with the viewers, where we're going to bring in our voice of reason, Miss Tony Duncan, and she's going to entertain questions from our listening audience, our viewing audience.
Awesome.
Hello, hello. Do we have any questions for our author tonight? So far, there are none in the queue. But since we're waiting for for our audience to ask questions, I have a question.
Okay.
So, in your book, The Never List, as you were talking about how the list is basically things that she wanted to accomplish that she hadn't done. Do you think, or do you feel like in the book that she may have gotten opposition maybe from her friends about her list, or like thought it was unrealistic, or maybe even felt like, okay, like that's way too much?
No, in fact, her friends and her family were basically on her about being, you at this big age, and you won't get on an airplane, you won't get on a boat, you won't do this and you won't do that, and it's affecting the quality of your life. And so you need to get to a place where you got rid of this fear and stop letting these things control you so that you can live. And so,
Mm-hmm.
no, her family was definitely all about her, satisfying her list, specifically the
Mm-hmm.
big no, they, basically, Esme was the last one to the party on that, and
Okay.
got tired of them bothering her about all the things that she was afraid to do and all the things that she's never done. And so, that's why she wrote the list, to get them off the block. Bothering her
Okay.
about
Okay, awesome. So we have a question from our audience, and it's um, when will we get a book about Troy, Ebony, or Ken?
Who is Troy, Ebony, and Ken?
they are characters from other books.
They left a lasting
I'm telling
impression.
readers, like, this is the only book that I'm writing about these people. This is not a series. I write standalones. I do not write series. And somehow I now have like two, three series. I'm not a series writer. And I always tell people, I'm not writing no more books about these people. But I have that want stories about these people. And so they harass me in every venue asking for books about these characters. So
Well,
they
it's
did not.
obvious.
So why won't? So let me ask you a question. Since you're getting so many people asking about these people, why can't you write about Troy, Ebony, or Ken without making it a series?
Well, because they're from previous books. So, if I write another book set in that world, then it becomes a series and then I have to continue it. But those people don't talk to me. So I
Okay.
don't have stories for them. Like,
Okay.
and if I think about it too hard, those people will start talking to me.
So
And
you
they
don't
don't
want the people to start talking to you, basically, is what you're
You
saying.
got to get the people what they want.
want them to talk to me. So, well, I mean, give me some time. I'll let you know if they start talking to me. But right now, nobody's talking to me. I mean, Ebony is like in her 20s, and so I have committed to writing characters 30 and up from now on, because
Oh, wow.
I haven't been 25 in 20 years. So I'm trying to write, the, the grown and sexy and the romance in her prime and the seasoned characters. And so maybe in 5 years when Ebony turns 30, I can give her a story.
Really? We can do a time lapse and make Ebony already 30 and go for it. She can be 40.
We'll write it. Well, it'll be like dystopian in the future, something like that.
So Karen comes back and says Potter Lake is already a series, so
Already,
give us Ebony at least.
She's not
Come
ready,
on,
right?
Karen. Keep going,
we might
Karen.
see Ebony in a future book, but I don't know if she's getting her own book. So, but well, I definitely want to continue people's stories, but I may not have enough for a full book. We haven't seen the last of Ebony. I'll say that. We have
Okay.
seen the last of Troy, though. We ain't seeing Troy again. I'm not writing a book on Troy.
All right. I'm with Karen. Give the people what they want. Come on
Right.
now.
Y'all gonna beat a book out of me.
Oh my God. So that just meant that just lets you know that people are invested in your writing
Right.
And I
and your
love
characters.
and I love it. I smile every time she harasses me about a book I'm not writing.
All right. Are there any other questions for our author tonight?
I'm surprised my mama don't have no questions.
Let's see. Nothing's in the queue. I'm gonna give it a few minutes.
Like I'm trying to think of a name of a book for Ebony's charcuterie tray. Ebony's
Did you
potluck.
say charcuterie tray? Really?
Ebony's barbecue. I mean, because everything's around dinner and drinks. I mean,
Right.
she can have her own book. Look.
I think there should be drinks with Ebony.
So
Mm,
Ebony is in this series. It's a Potter Lake series. It's a Potter Lake is like a middle Georgia town that I made up.
Okay.
Um,
okay.
and it's like just like a little black town that was almost destroyed by the loss of a textile mill and a crooked
Okay.
mayor. And Cade Kavanaugh, who used to play for a fake NBA team that I made up, ends up moving back there because he went to college in a nearby town. He opens up a barber shop, and the barber shop that he opens is putting Leslie's Curl and Dye. Wait, where's my camera? Putting Leslie's Curl and Dye out of business. And Leslie's is the hometown barbershop where everybody goes to get their hair done and sit around and gossip. And so this is Leslie
Okay.
Cade's story. And in this story is Yvonne, who is a hairstylist. And this is Yvonne's story, The Guy Next Door, which is another Potter Lake novel. And so Ebony is Yvonne's sister. And
Okay.
so Ebony is like, she's just this spunky little spitfire of a girl, and she was tons of fun to write. I just don't have a book for Ebony.
Okay.
So, but
I'm sending Ebony
Ebony,
vibes to you. I'm
Ebony,
gonna send Ebony vibes to you, so Ebony will start talking to you.
maybe y'all don't speak it into existence.
Your mom says, not a question. I was thinking about the homemade greeting card company. Do
Right, like
tell.
I told
Do
you,
that
I've
about
been
it.
writing my whole life. So when I was little, I used to make greeting cards. I would just,
Mm,
I can't draw, but I would write poems and stories, and so I guess I used to do homemade greeting
how
cards.
cool.
Um, yeah, and I always tell people like my parents were always super encouraging to me when
Hmm.
I was younger. They let me read whatever I wanted to read. They would read everything I wrote. Always encouraged me, hey, you want to write? We'll buy you composition notebooks and pens. And I was going to the library every other day and reading books from sun up to sundown. And that those habits and that interest were definitely, that was a fire that was stoked when I was younger. And then, when I was in high school, I was winning essay contests that were put on by the college, and my
Hmm.
mom was helping me write those. And so, I always tell people she was my first beta reader. She was my first critique partner. We sitting at the kitchen table. I'm writing about Martin Luther King, and she's reading like, "What you think about this? What about this point?" I feel like you need to expound more here. And so
Mm-hmm.
critical thinking was, a big deal in our house. A lot of reading, a lot of writing, and that all started at home. So if you had kids that read, that write, that draw, that code games, let them do it. Let
Mm-hmm.
them do it because that's their dream. You never know. They could be, 46 and, writing video games or a world famous artist or
Right.
written their 10th book. You never know. They, never ever stifled my interest, never stifled, my literary interests or my growth or anything like that. And so I definitely credit where I am today to, my parents, to, and definitely to my mom because she's right there next to me.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mom. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Mrs.
you
White.
sharing her talent with us.
You planted the seed and look at it flourish.
She sure
Wow.
did. She sure did. Yeah. And really to this day, incredibly encouraging. And so I always have to make sure whenever I write a new book, the first one has to get sent to Mama. She will get mad if I have not sent my book to her house. So
Hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
she did get a copy of the Never List last month. So.
I love it. So do we have any more? Okay, so we have another question. All right. It says from Rachel Friedman, have you completed your Never List or did she complete her Never List or how do you feel about the completion or the progress?
Esme really did complete her list. There was one last item that she was hoping to skip because it was really, truly scary. But, at that point, she and Trey had come to a really soft, intimate point in their lives together. And I felt like that was one last thing that he needed to do with her to sort of take them over that proverbial I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but that sort of that leveled them up a little bit that they
Mm-hmm.
that one
Mhm.
last task together. And so she did complete her list. And when you first start reading it, you don't understand how, but everybody got what they needed from that book. Trey got what he needed, his business deal. Esme finished her list. The customer in question got what he wanted. Everybody happy. It's a romance. It's a happy ending. And so, but working out how they get there is the magic of reading. So, I did not personally have a never list. I'm sure there's things I've never done, but as I get older, I get bolder. And so,
Mm-hmm.
if there's something I've never done, I make a plan to do it.
It's good.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Good question. Those are all the questions that we have in our queue for tonight.
Thank you, Miss Duncan, a voice of
You're
reason.
welcome.
Thank you so
Okay,
much for
so
having me.
I'm sorry.
I said thank you so much for having me. I didn't know we were closing.
Yeah, just one last time, share with our viewing audience how they can get in contact with you, and also how they can purchase your books.
I am at booksbydlwhite.com. Everything that you need to know about me or my books are on my website. It's booksbydlwhite.com/books. All my books are listed. If you click on the cover, it will take you to a site where you can buy that anywhere you like: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Apple Books. Some of select books are also in audio, if you like audio, and some are also in print.
Okay.
Everything is on my website. You can reach me by email. It's authordl@booksbydlwhite.com, or I'm on social media at author_dlwhite on Instagram and Twitter. So reach out to me. Email is probably the best because if you send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram, I might not see it. A lot of things, roll to that other box and I might not see it. But email is always best. If you go to my website, booksbydlwhite.com, there's also a contact form. You can always email me there. Those always come straight to me.
And I want to say I'm very impressed with the cover of your books.
Thank you. Thank you. I do my
They
own
are,
covers.
I'm sorry?
I do my own covers.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Which
It's
is
very impressive. It's a good selling point.
nuts, but, Yeah, I'm no graphic designer, but I do the best I can. I just mess with it until.
Oh no, they're very nice.
Thank
You
you so
wouldn't
much.
know.
I
Very
appreciate
nice.
that. Thank you.
Okay, so before we close out, with everything that's going on in society, do you have any positive or words of encouragement you would like to leave our viewing audience?
Um, I'm thinking about, we were talking earlier about being in Georgia and how there are so many people that didn't know that their vote counted. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know that they would make an impact. They didn't know that their voice would be heard. And now we see that those votes do count. People can hear your voice, and you
Mm-hmm.
do matter. And so I want people to know that your voice matters. You matter as a person. Speak up, speak out, make yourself heard. If there's something you want to do, the time's going to pass anyway. Would you rather be 2 years from now regretting that you didn't do that, or two
Right.
years from now, working the grind and working the goal, and doing what you feel like you were meant to do? Um, the world wants to read you. The world wants to see you. The world wants to hear you. They want your art. They want your music. They want your books. So, why deprive them? You've got to, you just got to put yourself out there. It's tough. It's a lot. Being an author is a lot. It's a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like not reading your reviews, because sometimes people like to be a little spicy in your reviews. It's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, kind of not putting yourself out there because you're afraid you might say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and you might write something and people don't like it. I have 2 books that I unpublished because people did not like them. And so,
Really? Hmm.
yeah. And so, but you have to take the risk, because you matter, you're important, your voice matters, and don't
Right.
ever, 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 from this day on, from November 3rd, 2020 on, you should know that your voice matters. Your vote counts.
Love it.
And say it, speak it, be it, do it, be out there, go do it, because, you got time.
It has really been a pleasure talking with you on this evening. And you said you were an introvert. I don't see it, but okay, I'm gonna take you at your word. Okay.
I'm not shy, but I am an introvert.
Okay.
I really like time to myself, but
Gotcha.
I'm not
Gotcha.
shy, but I am an introvert.
Well, we have thoroughly enjoyed talking with you on today. It has been a pleasure. It really has.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is fun.
All righty, guys. Join us this time next week, same place, same time, where we will be chatting it up with author Terrence Doctor. He's the author of Give Me a Dollar. This is On Another Level Book Club from Dallas, Texas. Stay safe and have a great night. And remember, reading gives us someplace to go when we have to stay where we are. Stay safe and stay blessed.